Hi, I'm Donna Jordan from Jordan Fabrics. Today we're going to be making a new quilt. We're going to be making one in Moda Fabrics fat quarters in the Bella Solids. Now we made one of these recently. We did a video and we asked, would anyone like to see other colors? And everyone said, yes, please show us all the colors. These fat quarter bundles have 12 solids and each one comes with a free pattern. So this is a really nice pattern. We'll get to that one. Really like to make that one. That looks very interesting for Halloween. But today we are going to use the blues. So this is a really nice pattern called Stacked. And all we need is the 12 fat quarters. And then we either need 6 half yards in creams, or we can use another fat quarter bundle right here. So grab your bundles, grab your fat quarters, and let's get started. Here's the pattern we're doing. It's called Stacked. And so we have this free on our website. It's got all the cutting, all the sewing directions, and it's really easy to follow. So the first thing we need to do is open up those fat quarters and get them ironed up and stacked up nice and flat. All of the 12 fat quarters get cut exactly the same. Now, I can't cut 12 layers easily with my rotary cutter, so I'm going to cut 6 at a time. You may want to only cut 4, just cut what you're comfortable with. To cut these strips, we're going to cut this in strips. The pattern tells us exactly what we need, but I find it useful to rewrite it in really big numbers because the pattern numbers are kind of small and I might forget what I've cut. So I'm going to rewrite this with a big marker here. I need a 1.5, a 2.5, a 3.5, a 4, and a 4.5. And then I'm going to put this right above where I'm cutting here. And I can refer to that as I cut here very quickly and accurately. I always try to use that method where I write the numbers down really big because I don't know about you guys, you may have never made a cutting error. I make cutting errors once in a while, and I don't want to make them. Sometimes I might not have more fabric, so I want to be as accurate as I can. Now I've got a weight holding down my plastic ruler. That acts like an extra hand up there. And now we're just going to follow our list and cut the strips. One nice thing, this pattern has hardly any scrap. I only had about this much on each side of the fabric sets. That's all that there is in scrap. It's really little. This is very efficient. So we are going to put all the like sizes together here, and we're going to take everything over to the sewing machine. So actually, before I start sewing for this quilt, it's going to be easier if I sort these into the strip sets we're going to stitch. So we're going to take these 12 and I'm going to make 12 different stacks. I'm going to lay these all out and then we're going to sort these other prints on top. So we need to make strip units that have one of each size, one of this size, one of this size, one of this size, and they need to have all different colors, and it doesn't matter which colors they have. So don't try to get them all matched perfectly, just make sure you have 5 different colors in every stack. Now I'm going to take this next stack here and I'm going to put one of these in every pile here, and the only thing I'm going to make sure is that I don't already have that color. So that's different, and again, it doesn't make any difference what goes where, just make sure you don't already have it. Now I have everything sorted out. I have 12 different stacks of fabric, and each stack of fabric has 5 different widths and 5 different colors. So each one of these stacks is going to make a strip set. So let's start with this one. So we need to sew these into a strip unit, but we don't want to do them in the same size order every time. So I don't want these to be sewn necessarily smallest to largest. I want them mixed up. Maybe I want to do a big one, put the little one here, and every unit we sew is going to be different. Now, if you have trouble, just take the whole group and throw it on your lap, pick one out, And then don't look, pick out another one and just sew those two together and keep adding strips till you get all of them sewn into one unit. As always, we're going to use a 1/4 inch seam and a fairly small stitch length because once we have the strip unit done, we're going to be cutting right across our stitching and we don't want those stitches to come out. Now I like to finger press the seam to one side, so I'm just going to open it up and I'm going to draw my fingernail or even the pad of your finger right down that seam. And that makes it lay flat until we get to the ironing board. Now, again, don't look, grab another strip, stitch it on. I have all the strip units stitched up. They all look a little bit different. And now we're going to want to give them a quick pressing. Since we finger pressed while we were stitching, it's pretty flat. So I like to iron it without steam first. And once it's laying the way I like, then steam press it. Once you have all the strip units ironed up, they're going to get subcut, and everyone gets cut exactly the same way. We need a 9 inch, a 6 inch, and a 5 inch. So that's going to be a total of 20 inches. We've got plenty of space here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut every strip unit 9, 6, and 5. We have all of these strip units cut up, cut to size, and we're done with these for now, so we're just going to leave those here. We're going to move on to the light fabrics. So these are going to be cut up and made into strip units using the same procedure that we used on the blue fabrics, but they will be different sizes. Here are the sizes I need to cut the lights. I need 2.5, 3, another 3, a 3.5, and a 4. So we're going to cut all of the light fabrics just like that. I'm just stacking these all up in groups of 5, just like we did with the blue ones. And I'm trying to get 5 different colors. It's a little bit harder to tell with some of these because the lights are so similar, but it really doesn't matter. So just put them in groups of 5. Now the pattern calls for 6 half yards. So if you're using half yards, you will only have 6 piles, but each strip will be twice as long. So either way, it works out just the same. Now we're going to take the 5 strips and we're going to sew them into a strip unit. But remember, mix up the order and try not to look what goes next to what. Just put them on your lap and mix them around and just grab 2 and start sewing. I have all of my light strips stitched together and ironed nice and flat. Now remember, if you're doing half yard cuts, yours are all going to be long here. They're not going to be in 2 separate stacks, but it doesn't matter. We're still going to make some subcuts now. So we're going to do 10.5, 6.5, 2.5. Then we're going to do all of these ones from these over here. And then we'll be ready to make these into rows and to see what the quilt's going to look like. Here's the really fun part. Each of these little stacks here will make the rows for our quilt. So this stack here, this is 1 row. So we're just going to spread these out. It doesn't even matter what order you put them in, but they're going to go all together and make 1 long row. So the only time I would change anything up is if I happen to get 2 that were exactly the same fabric, just turn it around. So that's 1 whole row of the quilt. Now from the blues, we cut more from each stack, from each set. So this will make 2 rows, but you get the idea here. It's going to start here. And again, don't change it around unless you get 2 that are exactly the same color, then just flip it. So try not to get real picky. Try to just lay them out. Now you get the idea of what all these rows look like. It's just stacks of fabric. So each row, it's got 6 of these stacks So you're going to stitch a row up. You'll have to follow the pattern to see what order they're in, because I just laid out some different widths here. But when we sew the rows together, we're not even going to have to match any of the seams. We're just going to put them together. They're all the same length, and just stitch down there really fast. So I'm going to get them stitched up and get it quilted, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Just look at how nice these stacks of colors turned out. The blues are so nice and bold, and then you've got the lights in between them, and everything just pops. I used an abstract quilting pattern called Van Gogh. You can see the swirls here. I like to do something swirly when I have a lot of geometric patchwork because it provides some relief, and I think it looks really good on this pattern and has, again, a very modern feel to it. Now, for the backing, you could use a solid. I used a marble. It just has a little bit of texture, and I used that same marble for the binding. And you could make this quilt larger very easily by adding borders. Now, I used the blue colors that are in the pattern, but you could very easily do different colors. I would love to make the purple aqua. Those are some of my favorite colors. If you were making one for a kid, maybe you'd want to do pink and green. That would be pretty. You could do darks and lights. That would be really nice. So the possibilities are endless. And this is a free pattern. We'll put a link in the description below, and we will have this on our website so you can print it off and stitch one up for yourself. Thanks for watching our tutorial today on how to make the stacked quilt. Now, if you stitch up one of these, please send us pictures. Send us pictures of any of your projects. That is really one of the most fun parts of our day, when we open up our emails in the morning and we see pictures of all the quilts that you guys are making. Happy quilting!